Hi, I'm Malka Katzenstein. I'm happy to be here today to talk to you about anxiety and panic, managing anxiety and panic. I see that nobody's joined, so I will start in a minute. I might have I might have started too quickly. I just wanted to repeat what the topic is for tonight. We are going to talk about, I will be talking about managing anxiety and panic. And I know that that's something a lot of people struggle with, and especially now, people who've never had a problem with it might be, might find that this is something that they're struggling with and not know what to do with it. And if it's something that chronically you deal with, it can be really, really upsetting, very hard to deal with. If you don't understand it, or if you may not have some tips. So that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit, about what it is and things that you can do to help yourself kind of get back into a calmer place. And of course, if it's affecting you to a degree that it's really hard to function, that's something to talk about with the therapist. There's medication for that. And so many people are, have like these biases, like these fears of taking medication for things like anxiety. And there's so many different things that can help. And really, if it's something that affects you to such a degree that it's really, it's hard for you to get things done or to stop worrying or get out of that loop, it's really no different than that's not fair to say it's no different. If it's something that can help you, it's something that can help you. And I just wanted to say that because I know that sometimes people feel like medications for things like anxiety or depression are different than medication for, like a physical illness. And if something is making you not feel good, there are things that you can do about it. And of course, there are so many ways to work on it in therapy, but we're going to talk about just, things that you can do. Maybe it's not that bad, or maybe you are, working with a therapist, and here are some things that you can do for yourself, which is important because when you're not feeling great and you're feeling like things are like your thoughts and your feelings are taking control over you, if there's some ways that you can, pull yourself back in, that's a great feeling. Besides the fact that it's going to help you feel better, it will also, the things that you're doing will help you feel better. It can also feel good to know that there are things that you can do to help yourself. So the first thing I wanted to say is that anxiety actually serves a function. It's there to let us know when we're in danger so that we can get out of the dangerous situation or a dangerous place and for our safety and survival. The problem is when there isn't an actual threat, or in our minds we are like exaggerating or seeing the threat as bigger than what it really is. And then there's all of this, it's really like a fear response in our body that calls out all the hormones that we need to get, to enable the hormones and the blood going to the different parts of your body so that you can run away. And when there isn't actually a threat, you're not in any physical danger, then you have all this flooding your body and no place for it to go. And then that creates that feeling of panic. If sometimes, can cause a panic attack or just worrying. And then you just like kind of get into the loop because you don't like how you're feeling. So you think about it and it can just kind of get away from you. And that doesn't feel good. And so that's where it's coming from. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that it sort of gets like kind of out of control at the wrong times. And that's when it causes the problem. So when you start feeling like that, the first thing that you can do is to just like take a minute and just like stop and ask yourself, okay, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? The way that we think and the way that we feel are so closely connected, and we sort of kind of jumble them together sometimes. But if we can think about it separately, then we can, we can start to think about things differently. Then that will help us to learn how to feel different. So if you say, okay, I'm worrying about this and it's causing it's making my heart my heart race. Some of the physical symptoms are like racing heartbeat, rapid heartbeat, sweating. It can be hard to breathe. You might feel like you're choking. Sometimes nausea or stomach pains. People have all kinds of different ways that they feel this in their body, and checking in with that can actually give you like a minute to pause and say, oh, okay, this is what I'm feeling, and think about how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what thoughts you're dealing with. Are you afraid of something? Are you worried about something? And sometimes, there are really real things that we worry about, but maybe we're taking it out of proportion. Maybe we're worrying more than we really need to. Maybe we're letting our thoughts get away with us, like catastrophizing, like this thing is happening, and then what if, when the likelihood of that happening is not that great. And also we're kind of like looking at the actual thing in, blowing it out of proportion. Also, when you're thinking about, okay, well, I'm worrying about this thing is making me nervous, and then what happens if this, and what happens if that, and then our thoughts like kind of spiral away from us, and then we start feeling it. But also, so stopping to notice that and think about where you're feeling it and what's actually happening. Also, challenge it. Say to yourself, well, I'm really worried about this terrible thing happening. And then say, okay, and what happens if that happens? Sometimes that will give you like a minute, and you say, okay, what happens then? And you might surprise yourself and think that, okay, if that happens, I can handle it. And sometimes that's all you need, and you realize like, okay, or you can say, you know what, that's not likely to happen. And just taking a minute to just stop and think about what you're thinking and how that's making you feel can sometimes put things in perspective, and then also challenging it. And here's something that, and that's very different than fighting it, which was what I wanted to say. And especially feelings of panic. Fighting a panic attack is probably one of the worst things that you can do for it, because panic attacks kind of build, and it doesn't feel good when that's happening. And all those physical symptoms get stronger, and that can feel scary, and that can make you worry some more, and it gets worse. But if you understand that it can only reach a certain level and then it just dissipates, it can make, it doesn't feel, even knowing that it doesn't feel good, but knowing that it's not going to go on forever. And if you just kind of look at it and challenge it, okay, what's happening? Then sometimes if you're not afraid of it, and I know that this sounds, I'm oversimplifying, and it can, it's hard to think rationally in the moment. So I wanted to talk about some lifestyle things that actually can help in the long term. Having some healthy lifestyle habits can sort of keep your nervous system in a more even keel, like kind of on a regular basis, so that you will have a way to work out your worries, or if you're having the physical symptoms, it will feel less intense. And then also, if you incorporate these habits when you're feeling the intensity of anxiety or panic, in those moments, your brain and your body will be able to go back to the sort of sense of control that you have. It'll be almost like not a default, but it'll be something that like, oh, this is familiar, I know what to do. Because when you're worrying or feeling panicky, it can be hard to stop. So that, and that becomes a habit also. You kind of have to train yourself that, okay, this is something that I can do. I need to take a pause and let's see what's really going on here and what can I do about it. And one of the first things to do is to take a deep breath. That's important because, first of all, often when we're feeling like that, we're not breathing well. We're breathing really quickly, and we're not actually getting enough oxygen to our brain. And then that just kind of cycles into feeling more and more like the way that we don't want to feel. So the first thing that you can do is just like stop for a minute, think about what you're thinking, but also to breathe. And there are some, just taking a deep breath is good. And also there are some breathing techniques that I will talk about, and that can help. And that also, like I said, it will calm your nervous system. If you kind of make it a regular practice, it will calm your nervous system. And also it will, get you used to thinking that this is something that you can fall back on in a moment when you're feeling out of control. It's a way to kind of bring yourself back into control. And another thing, like I said, when that happens, like just name it, because also, first of all, by naming it, it becomes less scary. And it gives you some kind of understanding of, oh, this is what I'm feeling. And that feels a lot less scary than the unknown. Also, by naming something, you kind of take control over it. So naming how you're feeling, naming what you're feeling, sort of you can kind of go through your body, like, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? And what am I worrying about? And what am I worried about that's going to happen? And then, and also just breathing. But the things that we can do on a regular basis that are really important, and also to check in when this is happening, is, did you eat? Because when our blood sugar gets low, we can feel, out of control, and we can feel jittery, and we can feel this very similar body sensations to anxiety and panic. And so also eating regularly it's just good for you all around, and it will, just put you in fighting shape, let's say, for lack of a better word. And that is true also for regular exercise, which it's good for your body, it's good for your mind, and also it helps to give you, release the good hormones that make you feel good. And that comes in handy when you're having, moments of intense worry, anxiety, panic. And also, if you can, when you're feeling like that, that might be a great time to go for a run, go for a walk, or even just stand up. If you're sitting, stand up and walk around the room, because you will release some of that nervous energy, some of that adrenaline that's making you feel the way you're feeling. And that's a way to come back to yourself. But it's also a good idea to make that part of your routine, and also be realistic about it, because if you're not, if you set yourself up to, intense workout, get up at 5 a.m. and do that 5 days a week. If you don't think that that's going to happen, then don't do that. Start with 5 minutes, take a walk around the block, do that every day. And then you can build on that. And if it doesn't work to build on that, if you don't have more time, then you know what, do that, but do it intentionally and be happy with it. Give yourself credit for it. Also, important to limit things like alcohol, like sugar, like caffeine. And, those, alcohol can affect your mood. And so if you want to, and also, kind of slow down your nervous system so that you can't kind of pull yourself back in. Things like caffeine and sugar can make you feel jittery. And if you don't like feeling jittery, then that's just going to make you not feel good. But also, if you're feeling that, sometimes you can think to yourself, wait, hold on a minute, I had a cup of coffee, or surprisingly, a can of Diet Coke, half an hour ago, and now I'm feeling shaky. Sometimes, if you have that understanding that that's what happened, then that can help you also. Sorry about that. Journaling is a regular practice that can also kind of help you stay grounded, and it can help you stay in a way, it can help you be, peaceful in your mind, and also can help to minimize the time, anxiety and panic. It helps with self-awareness, which is kind of what I was talking about, understanding what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what's going on in your body. gratitude is a great thing to, journaling sounds a little scary if you're not used to it. Sometimes you just like pick up a pen and start writing. Like, I know that for me, it was, I can't, I'm sorry. I hope this comes out good. Here's what I've been doing, and I will share why, if things are breaking up, have been breaking up here, or it was cutting out, because I've been trying to limit the amount of time that I spend on my phone and on social media, because it's been an emotional roller coaster for me. So I set limits on Instagram, and sometimes it helps, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes I ignore it. But just knowing that I've done that makes me feel like I did something. So it was just kind of asking if I wanted to override my limit today. And, that's something that you can try, just knowing the things that trigger you. Once you know what your triggers are, you can either kind of figure out strategies to, I don't want to say avoid them, but like manage them. Like, okay, well here, if this is something that causes you anxiety and worry, then how can you like kind of minimize that? Or you can know, like, okay, here's the thing that does this with me. How can I manage that? And that's personal, and you have to kind of, and also requires some trial and error sometimes. But I was talking about journaling. Like when I think about that, like when I first was told, like, oh, you should try journaling, which I think is a great exercise. It's great for self-awareness, but I'm like, I don't have anything to write about. I just set a timer on my phone for a minute and just picked up my pen and just write. But if you can't do that, having, a gratitude list, which can be short. You can just list, like, I don't know, start with 3 or 5 things that you're grateful for. And if you want to kind of like, stretch your mind a little bit, think about, I don't know, give yourself, like, say, write down 20 things. And that's great because it forces you to think about the things that are actually good that you may not notice, you might take for granted. And so that'll minimize the worry that you might be experiencing. And also it wires your brain for positivity, which can also be a great way to arm yourself against, anxiety, worry, panic. Sleep is a big one. When you're tired, you're not going to function at your best. And also you might experience symptoms that feel like worry, that feel like anxiety, that feel like panic, that don't feel good, like physical discomfort. And it might just be that you didn't sleep enough. And so getting enough sleep is just good for your body, good for your brain, good for your mind. Laughing. Humor is important. Humor is great. Having doing activities that you enjoy, having hobbies. I don't know, it's a weird word, I think, but like, just think about the things that you enjoy. It brings you joy, and it helps you focus. You can focus on something, and when you're focusing on something that you enjoy, then you're feeling good. And also focus can then help you, get out of your head. If you're worrying about something or you're feeling a lot of anxiety, focus on, I don't know, whatever it is that it is that you like to do. I will share, because I think it's a great idea. Paint by number. I discovered it during COVID, and I like it because I'm just like busy with it, and I don't have to think, and all the work is kind of done for me, except that I get to focus on it. I find that very soothing. So that's the other thing. There's some certain activities that are grounding, and that's soothing for our brains and our bodies. And so find the things that do that for you. That will be different for other people. And then there are some strategies that could help in the moment when you find your anxiety or your panic getting away from you. And like I said before, breathing is a really good one, because first of all, like I said, it will just help get oxygen to your brain. And if you do it will calm down your brain also. And if you focus on it, then that takes your mind off of what you're feeling, what you're worrying about. So there are a couple of techniques, and that might be a whole other conversation, but the ones that I think are the easiest to do, I'll talk about 2. There's one that's called 4-7-8 breathing, which you inhale to a count of 4. Then you hold your breath you hold that to the count of 7, and then you exhale to the count of 8. And actually, it's been, it's been proven that it's been recommended that if you do that, make that a regular practice, you will have, it's calming and soothing, and it's good for your mental health. But it's also something to go to when you're feeling like things are getting out of control and you can't stop worrying, or you feel like you're having a panic attack. So 4, 7, 8. And another one is called box breathing, where you breathe, you inhale to the count of 4, you hold it to the count of 4, because you're making a box. So you go inhale 4, hold it 4, and then you exhale to the count of 4, and then you hold it again, you count to 4 till you start it again, take another deep breath. And there are so many other breathing techniques you can look up and see what works for you. And you might want to play around, and certain things might work different times. Another thing that can help is to count. Just count. And part of the reason I like those breathing techniques is because of the counting element, because it sort of keeps your brain busy with something, your mind, I should say, busy with something else also. And so another thing is counting backwards, because you have to sort of apply yourself. Like, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Most of us can do that without really thinking about it. But if you're going to count backwards by, let's say, I don't know, 5s or 10s, or if you want to really make it challenging for yourself, count backwards by 7. There are like cognitive tests that do that. And so that will really take your mind off what you have going on. And for most people, I think you have to really concentrate on that. Grounding yourself, like feeling, let's say, the floor underneath you, like making a point of feeling your feet on the ground. If you're sitting with your feet up or your legs crossed or something, put your feet down on the ground and just feel that. And that's grounding. Put your hands on your desk or your table. That can help also. That's also grounding. And any activities with like repetitive motion are grounding, and that can be helpful just, to just help you sort of center yourself, even when you're not actively, experiencing anxiety or panic. And another thing that can help when you're feeling it, it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. And that one can actually even be fun, and also gets your mind off of things and helps you just sort of feel things in a different way. So what you want to do is you want to start with 5 things, look around you, and name 5 things that you can see. And you have to spend time on this. And also it's going to take your attention away from what you're experiencing, and also just like get your brain working in a different way, which will help with that. So 5 things that you can see. Then you go 4 things that you can touch. So touch them, actually. Like I said, touch your table or your desk, touch your, your clothing. If you're wearing a sweater, feel, and think about how it feels to you. And, with the 5 things that you're looking at also, like, what are you noticing? What color is that? That's the green thing that's on the wall. I don't know, just off the top of my head. Then, so 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear. So you can listen for, let's say, traffic outside, or if you hear, your air conditioner in the summer, or, anything that's good. You have to really sometimes spend some time thinking about this. 3 things you can hear. I did 5, 4, 3. 2 things that you can smell. And also that, you might not have that right near you, so you have to kind of think about that. And 1 thing that you can taste. So you have a drink with you, or you chewing gum or something, or if you're eating, or you can just think of something that, if you don't have anything around you that you can taste right at the moment, you can just think about, like, okay, what are tastes? And that will redirect your thinking, redirect your thoughts, and hopefully then kind of reset you and distract you. So those are the things that I wanted to share. And also another thing that can help when if you're having like a really tense time, essential oils. I don't know a whole lot about essential oils. So I don't want to give so much information, but they can be really soothing to smell. And sometimes even just like opening, I know they're like aromatherapy diffusers that can be really helpful just to have in your room. Lavender is a soothing one. There are others that are calming and soothing. And if that's something that that speaks to you, you can look into that because it can be really helpful. And even just, opening the bottle and smelling it can calm you down also. And meditation is another one that helps. I feel like there isn't enough time to really get into it, but also I'm not the expert on meditation, but meditation on, making it a practice can also keep you like in a calmer level, and then also give you the tools that when in the moment, if you want to get away from something, get away from what you're not get away. I don't mean it like that, but if you would like to move your attention to something else, that's another way to do it. Meditation, like with the mantra or something, you can say, I'm safe, everything's okay. That's just what's coming to me now, but you can figure out what works for you. And the thing to remember is, so that's just a lot of information I gave you. You can message if you have any questions about any specifics. And also if there's any aspect of this that anybody would like more information about, message OKclarity, and we'll be happy to talk about this. This is a topic that really interests me, so I have a lot of information on it. And also the thing that I wanted to say to remember is to not let it take you, even if you're feeling these feelings and they don't feel good, it's not the worst thing. It might feel terrible in the moment, but it will pass. And also, you don't have to let it take control over you. So a lot of these things that I spoke about are ways that you can come back to yourself and not give this the power to go off the rails and take you with it. And those are quick little talk about managing anxiety and panic. And I hope that this was helpful. I hope this was good information. And again, if there's anything you'd like to know more about, send a message to OKclarity, and I'll be happy to get more into detail. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you. And thank you, OKclarity, for having me. Bye.